Yeah. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. Yeah. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. Yeah. React if you have to. Yeah.
Don't know the time, yeah. Just know that I'm, one of a kind, yeah. What's on your mind, yeah. Well, hard to find, yeah. Beautiful mind, yeah. Still in my prime, yeah. Just know that I'm here.
What's up, guys? Pondoff's Anonymous, episode 35. 35, right, Jeff?
That's right, 35.
The higher we count, I've already got my shoes off and counted with all my fingers, so I'm good. I have to always get confirmation there.
Yeah.
This one's pretty exciting, right?
That's right, man. We've got a great guest today. And
yeah, we do.
I'll introduce him. His name is Ben Curtis. Ben, you want to say hi?
Hello. Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man. So you were asking earlier before we started how we found you, and the way that we found you is locally in St. Louis. That's where we're based. Mm-hmm. A friend of ours was on a show called What Would You Do? And yeah, so he was one of the...
I've heard of that show.
Yeah, so he was one of the people who was, just the normal... He was the one who got surprised by Mr. John Quinones. It was an episode, and Chris, I think they were talking about foster care. A girl was coming out of the foster care system. She needed a job, and this coffee shop owner didn't want to give her a job. And so
I remember. This is a recent one.
It's a recent one. And in fact,
I saw that one.
You saw it because the second part of it was a man who was in recovery, going to a bar, and his wife was trying to pressure him to have a drink, and the actor was Ben Curtis. So I saw you on that one. They kind of said your background, that you are on a very famous commercial that stood out to me from my youth. The dude, you're getting Adele. This is you.
That's right.
Yep. And
it was me.
I said, my goodness. I remember that commercial, and there's several commercials. And so I'm like, I gotta watch this again. And it's so funny to go back and watch them with those humongous like PC towers and all that. But that was so for me. I'm like, well, this guy's like the biggest celebrity in the world, because for any millennial who remembers those commercials,
It may even be before millennials, to be honest.
It might be, yeah.
I mean, maybe millennials, though. I'll give it to them. When they were like 10, 9, 10. Are you a millennial?
Right. I'm technically a millennial.
Oh,
so
wow. All right.
On the older side, I'm 35, so I'm on the older side of millennials.
Okay. But you'd remember because you were in college during that time.
Yeah.
My character even went to college.
Yes.
Nice.
Towards the end. I gave a graduation speech on a real college campus.
No way. Oh, man. Is that on YouTube somewhere? Because I'll have to look that up.
I can't find it. It's got to be. It was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I guess it was called, I don't know, The Graduation. I did a lot of them, but that was one that really stood out.
But you've also
that was a mess that day, actually. Speaking of recovery, hitting bottom. We'll get there, but
we'll get there for sure. You've also acted in a lot of different. Most recently, one of the things I've seen you in is an episode of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. You were in that.
I love
which
that
is a
show.
Great
I was
show.
so excited to be on that.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my band on that because we do some music from some sort of like speakeasy kind of music and bluegrass and folk, and
that's awesome.
And then I got the audition for this old-timey folk singing cowboy, and that was it was right up my alley. It was so fun and cheeky, and that show's incredible, and everyone was so humble on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what I was most impressed by.
Yeah, because you would have. Yeah, that was a great episode. And then also, I mean, what are some other things you've been on? I think you've been on Law and Order SVU, maybe, is that right? Or one of the
original
Orders?
Law and Order.
Okay, yeah.
Were you?
Yeah,
I've seen them all. I got them. I mean, I record them.
It's one of the last ones. I'm on there with Sam Waterston, and I am a veteran who has PTSD and was not taken care of when he came back from war, which was based on a headline from the news of real stuff happening, and he ended up having an outbreak and murdering a homeless man who also turned out to be a veteran who wasn't taken care of. And then
what war did you come home from?
I want to say Iraq. It was one of the last episodes of the last season.
You might have been on last night. You guys.
It's possible. I've started getting these fat residual checks. I mean, they've gone from $3 to like $7.50.
How about that?
Every 3 to 6 months, you know?
Not quite the Bobby Bonilla contract, but it's close, right? Yeah.
Hey, I mean, this was a solid 10 years ago, so...
Yeah. I'm a musician too. Yeah, I'm a musician too, and I've written like one song that every now and then I get like a 15-cent check for.
Hey,
so it's really cool.
I save those checks. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's like it's not worth cashing, but
I get those as well.
Yeah.
Ben, I wasn't going to get all fanboy on you, but when I didn't realize you were in a Law and Order, and people know I'm obsessed with Law and Order. I have been. I mean, it's like my go to bed show because it's always on, right?
Yeah, especially late night.
I probably have seen. I don't think there's an episode I haven't seen. When I mean that all the way to the 1990 Ben Stone.
I wish I could just
episodes.
pull up my screen and share it with you real quick. I'm sure I've got a clip somewhere. It's pretty awesome.
If you find it,
it's
feel
so
free.
Old school.
Definitely an open book here on this podcast. The funny thing about that, what would you do? Episode, as Jeff mentioned, we were all tuned in because a close family friend was the guy on it that stuck up for the foster, the girl that was coming out of foster care, and so there was a foster care scene, and then there was the recovery scene, and everybody's like, "Oh, Pondoff, you gotta watch this." Like, me and my wife have fostered we're licensed foster parents in Missouri, and then here I am, a recovering alcoholic, and there's that episode. It just was a crazy thing. So then afterwards, Jeff's calling me and like, "Hey, what do you think the chances we could get this guy on the show?" I'm like, "Jeff, I love when you aim big," and he aimed big, and here you are, man, and what a pleasure.
The power of asking is my honor. It's not often I get to talk about recovery, addiction. Well, not publicly on this kind of platform. I talk about it quite often on my Instagram account, the Ben Curtis Official, because some of you know I'm also a coach now, and I work with sensitive, creative men, finding their power, their light, their purpose, and a lot of that is self-care. So I talk about these things and talk about the struggles I've been through, because I don't coach anything I haven't been through, and I've been through a lot, which is also probably what makes me a strong actor, be able to play all these roles. Role playing is how I survived growing up, and people pleasing and chasing validation and seeking a high from outside myself, in people, and coming up in a broken home where humor was greatly needed, and someone had to act out the drama because I'm a preacher's kid, and my whole family's in therapy. We're like super liberal. I mean, my dad was a Episcopal minister, but he was also the first openly gay minister in the South, and one of the things that came when he came out, when he really dealt with that, was when he dealt with his addiction and his trauma from his past, and then that kind of had my whole family look at all of theirs. But I was the only drinker in the family, really. I really was the first one. I took it to a whole new level, and I thought it was bad circumstances, but I just learned it was just an addiction, or the nature of disease, dis-ease, growing up without the right tools, whatever you want to call it. I've played a lot of soldiers, a lot of people with post-traumatic stress syndrome, We Are the Hartmans, a movie I co-produced and starred in with Richard Chamberlain. As a comedy, but I play a soldier just back from Afghanistan, and just a lot of people who are, because I can relate to people who have been through trauma and addiction or suffering, and now what I really work with men on is and women too. Women work with me as well. Reason I focus on it with men is because I've learned that my emotions, my pain, my past can be my purpose and my message, and I can help other men through those spaces. And that's really what's led me to start coaching, as well as being a performer and living by example, to do what I love. That's also part of my healing. So now, and actually after I recovered, I thought I needed all this pain to be a great artist. And as soon as I sort of gave myself permission to set myself free of that, it was incredible what opened up. I found out I didn't need to suffer to be successful. And that was huge.
There's a couple things here that are just blowing the lights. I feel like I'm in a stadium full of lights going off. Jeff, did you know this
tell me.
about Ben's religious background and his father?
I sure didn't. Nope, I had no clue.
Mean, it's so ironic, Ben. We, the church Jeff and I go to, are here in St. Louis is exactly what you described about being. It's probably the most liberal church in terms of. I mean, hate to even label it. It's just non fucking exclusive, man. And pardon my French. I'm Italian.
Is that on the side?
Yeah, right. It should be.
The Blake Church welcomes you, not fucking exclusive.
They say no asterisks. All are welcome, no asterisks, and that's how I decided.
NFE.
It's
some churches have those little digits after the numbers at the end. It's what does that mean?
Right. I like that. We might have to add that. We'll talk to Miofsky about it. Yeah. The lead pastor is great. He and he's a personal friend. He helped literally pull me from rock bottom. And the church is probably the biggest home in St. Louis to the LGBTQ community.
Oh, wow.
And sitting worshiping with folks and being a part of a church with folks that have been just fucking bullied and cast out in the name of religion fires me up, and it really fires Jeff up. And, it's just changed. It's just amazing that you come from that, and we didn't even know, because you're ever in St. Louis, you check us out on a Sunday. You'll like the church. It's called The Gathering in St. Louis, and we have 3 sites spread out across the city, and it's amazing. In fact, I met my wife there, who is from L.A. She went to Pepperdine, which is a Church of Christ, and she worked there and really left there because of their asinine views on sexuality, and it's. And then, so she moves to St. Louis, of all places, to get her social work master's degree, and found that church, and that's how I met her. Why the fuck she's with me? I've said this on this podcast a million times. I don't know, but I'm not quite. Just kind of keeping my fingers crossed so we can stick together. So that really stuck out when you said that, and how cool is that? We could probably do a whole nother podcast episode on that.
Well, I want to say you're definitely doing something right. So I would say stop questioning the how and just enjoy that you've got a wife that loves you, and healthy relationships, especially post pandemic, has made or break a lot of relationships.
Absolutely.
I go to a high school. I went to a high school as all boys Christian. Some boys, it was in Tennessee, but some went to Pepperdine. And my high school is really struggling with because it was an all boys private school. Boarding students as well, really struggling with the hazing around and just intolerance around sexuality and race and gender, and it's caused a big uproar. There's still a lot of places struggling to move on, and but we just one thing I try to do is ask questions and learn from their experience, and know that we've each been raised differently and have our own experience, and we just have to give people the space to be themselves and grow their own way and live by example. That's really what I believe.
Amen to that. And I kid, we always call Jeff the liberal because he's a very outspoken liberal.
It's my dad too. My dad wore like cowboy boots or Birkenstocks while he was preaching, and like really proud of it.
Nice.
I voted for Clinton, right on the pulpit, Okay.
Well, the ironic thing
of church and state. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, the ironic thing is Jeff here. The article he sent me on you to way back earlier this month when that show came out was from FoxNews.com, and I said, "Wow, Jeff's only article." The only article he's probably ever read on Fox News was one that get you here. So
I've been in their building several times.
Nice. Well, good for you. And
get to know the editor. I'm just teasing. They've been wonderful, actually. Fox News has been really supportive, and hearing the story, truth, and all that as well.
Yeah.
Well, good. I like to hear that because I grew up in a Fox News house. Well, I don't want to say house because it was a split house.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, we're not allowed to even talk about it at the dinner table anymore.
If I'm at my mother's,
it causes such intense divide in the family immediately.
It makes people angry, man. Like it's really it does.
Jeff, you've been quiet over there. What's going on?
Listen,
you're the outspoken liberal. Come on, man.
Yeah, Fox News is not for me. I can't. But yeah, I think that is pretty much the only article that I've ever read on Fox News. Actually, the other article I sent was, I think it was a video from TMZ. So you kind of started hitting your rock bottom in a very public way. Is that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone could read about it everywhere. Hopefully, some of my positive videos and coaching, life coaching, and inspiration have made it.
I'd rather hear it from you than read it on TMZ. So.
Oh, good. Well, I talk about, I don't hide any of that. That's a big thing I talk about. I'm very human, not perfect. That was. I moved to New York to pursue my acting degree at NYU. I went to Tisch, and I became a party animal. I'd gone from a preacher's kid in the South to being pretty good, and I didn't really experiment too much with drugs or alcohol. And then I was in New York City, and I was an actor. It's like in my body. Yeah, I was in my body for the first time. It was like women were like into me for the first time for being sensitive and an actor. I was like, whoa, what is this? Because in the South, that was not like hot. I was in the Magic Club, and I was a cheerleader. Even though I played soccer, like all those things canceled each other out.
What part of Tennessee did you grow up in? I was friends with
the only gay kid in school. All these things. Openly gay kid. I went a little wild, and if you're an alcoholic or you just pour gasoline on the fire, and getting fame was some of that too. But I really chased acting it, and I think I really was. I believe in myself. I believe in my talent. That's how I got into that school, and I really took it super, super seriously. So I was not trying to destroy my life at all. But then I got the fame hit overnight with the Dell commercials. I was 19. I was maybe a sophomore in college, and I was trying to get ahead because I thought it would take, years or a lifetime. And overnight, I booked this national campaign for Dell computers. It was exciting. I had money. I was paying off school loans, but I was also spending it because I didn't have enough self-worth to know how to hold on to it. And then a lot of fame was coming with that, but that was creating more trauma because I was just holding up a magnifying glass to what was going on underneath me. And if you give an addict, money, what are you going to do with it? My mom tried to teach me good values of holding on. My dad believed, spend it while you got it.
I hear you.
But I was young, and I Let's try that again. So I just didn't have the self-worth to really own it and use it and learn how to use it as a good energy. And I probably didn't believe I was worth it. And I definitely didn't think it was going to go away. So, once you get some status, you get a little title. And I was started to people used to give me marijuana, but I still would have to order it from delivery services. And so back then, people would come on bikes or cars, and this was in New York City. So I was ordering delivery service of some weed for my friend's birthday, and we were also both dating women from Scotland at the time. So
nice,
because he took me to Scotland, so we both were wearing kilts, proper Scottish style, which means no knickers, nay knickers. And lo and wouldn't you know, guess what I got arrested in New York City? A freaking kilt with no underwear. There's undercover cops following the delivery service, and I was the guy buying. And then they figured out who I was, and I got mocked in jail. I got let out early because the lawyers found me, and man, it was insane. And then everyone came out of the woodwork like, man, why didn't you tell me? I would have given you weed. My friend was bringing it on the way to the party, and my poor Scottish girlfriend was visiting, and it was traumatic. But one of my best friends, his father's a criminal defense attorney in Baltimore, so he knew to bring me some pants and underwear pronto. But that kilt actually kept me in a cell by myself for a little while, which is very, very nice of the officers, even though they mocked me the entire time.
Oh my God.
Shit, it's the Dell, dude. It is the Dell. Where's the Dell now, buddy? I have a whole one-man show about, my freedom from suffering, freedom from addiction, freedom from self, and I have this great, where I'm in a jail cell, and I'm the only one who gives myself permission to actually let myself out at the end. And that's where I kind of see freedom from addiction. But I have this police officer. I had a character that's that guy. It's like my Officer Krumke of the Dell days. I mean, this story is epic. I was handcuffed to a wheelchair in the psychiatric ward in Bellevue at some point. It was a long weekend, and not the only time I've been arrested. So my final one was a DUI. So there goes the alcoholism I could hide from no further.
Mm-hmm. Right.
No one even knew about that one. That one was way worse, but it's interesting what makes the press.
Right.
I am now. Sometimes you grow up, you're like, man, I want to make it. I want to make it. I am so fucking grateful that I didn't have that kind of spotlight on me through my trials and tribulations. If you say that would be, it would be brutal.
That's why you see all these celebrities just crumble, because you're watching them have fame and money for the first time, but it doesn't mean that they're fixed. It just means that they're good at what they do, and so you add those extra pressures, and it's brutal. You saw, for those of you who were alive back then, Britney Spears shave her head and crumble, and even Dave Chappelle had kind of a meltdown, and so many celebrities who you see die from overdose and addiction after being sober for years. By the way, I'm going to have 8 years in September without alcohol, so that's
congratulations,
big thing coming up.
Ben, that's huge. I want to ask a couple questions.
Ask away. We're just talking. This is great. I hope I'm just kind of rambling.
No,
there's a southerner in me. Well, that reminds me. Here's another story.
This is a rambling podcast, and I heard you say earlier about how you're coaching, and I want to get to that. I struggle with I've noticed this. I'm struggling with the coaching part. I've noticed you kind of recognize your own strengths and weaknesses. I'm stronger at meeting somebody at rock bottom and trying to help them get the help they need and deserve. And
that sounds like a pretty good coach to me.
Well, I'm looking for people and resources that once somebody has gotten sober, who they need the. I direct them to sponsors in the program, and which I don't do AA personally, but I've guest spoke at AAs, and I believe in it for people. It saved a lot. It saved a lot of lives. I think that's why I call it Pontiffs Anonymous. We try to be kind of a hybrid of that, where AA is all about anonymity, and I was telling somebody earlier today that sharing our stories. Every time we share our stories of recovery, at least one person, I would argue that multiple people, but at least one person finds hope in that story. And with the platform that you have, that's incredible. And that's why I'm doing this, is because we're trying to show people some hope and that the impossible is possible. And that's why we started this podcast, is because we believe in any way to get sober that works for somebody. But, we have... one of my best friends has a couple treatment facilities. One of his treatment facilities where he's out of now is in I think it's Marlboro, New Jersey, called Discovery Institute, and they've taken some people in. He now has a place in St. Louis. It's just, I find my strength in getting people and sitting with people in their pit, and then post. I feel inadequate sometimes trying to help the person. Because I'm not a therapist, I'm not a licensed recovery coach. I'm more maybe of an interventionist, and I want to hear more about it in a little bit about your mission, because even if it's people just looking you guys up and knowing that there's people out there that are good recovery coaches. Does that make sense, or am
Absolutely.
I rambling now?
Do you have permission to offer a little coaching on what you just shared?
Amen, please. All the help I can get.
So, first of all, I wanted to just say I really heard your acknowledgement and your commitment here on this podcast to helping anyone get clean or sober or find recovery or find help by any means necessary. And I think that is incredible. There's no, even AA will say, or people in there, AA has no, outside opinion or authority, but people in there will say, and out of there's no right way to get sober, and if anyone tells you otherwise, then excuse my French, but fuck them, because Amen. It's your life. And 12 steps really helped me and has not been the only thing. We need a lot of tools and support, and I'm not a therapist either. I've had a lot of therapy though. Sure. And I've thought about becoming a therapist. But what did I wanted to say about coaching and what you shared and what I often hear that's important, and I used to struggle with in the words of I'm powerless, because I really believe what we say, our words create our thoughts, create our actions, create our world. So, that's why I pointed out when you say I have no idea why my wife is with me, or I really struggle with helping people once they've gotten off of rock bottom, and our baseline. What I hear you say is now what do I do with them? So, I just want to say that because Chris, both of you offer incredible service to the world. So why wouldn't a woman want to be with a man who's in touch with his feelings, has open conversations publicly? Why wouldn't anybody want to be with that? And owning your value, and get that also in the way you speak about yourself, as long as I believe the universe is a giant yes button. So whatever you say about yourself, you'll get proof of. So if you say, hey, listen, I struggle with this, you're probably going to get proof that you struggle with that. One thing I like to say, if you say it's hard, another way you could say that is this is unfamiliar. Mm-hmm. Helping people from the baseline up is unfamiliar for me. So, I would just ask, what are you committed to, and how much are you willing to receive, and are you willing to let that conversation go that you struggle with that? Because that's why you haven't been open to receiving or able to receive any new tools to really take the next step, because you have to be willing to let that conversation go that you struggle with that, that you are worthy of it and that you can do it.
Well, yeah, I'm starting to feel pretty good. Like, yeah, I appreciate that. That's I wrote down your words create our thought, our actions, and our worlds. Right. I like that a lot, and I wrote that down. So I appreciate that. And like you said earlier, that we have a lot in common when I say I'm as human as they get, and people that know me know that, and always a work in progress. And
being humble is good.
I appreciate.
I don't always talk kindly about myself, but that's why I work really hard on it, and I call other people out on it because it helps me see. Because how we talk to ourselves is one of the most important tools and greatest keys to transforming that. The simple, kind words to yourself. And that really gets, recovery really begets a lot of those things. That one of the greatest acts of kindness that you can do, that it was the most uncomfortable one for me, was getting sober. Like, stop putting poison in my body. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Because I was so, not even addicted, but just dependent on, habitually ingrained, that track in a record that's just got that worn groove like that. Was self-sabotage for me. Like, every time I started to do better, just like, I couldn't even receive a compliment when I was doing well. And, it's so easy for us to burn. And so what I really help men with and people with now is being kind to themselves, and also acknowledging that you already have everything you need inside of you. Sometimes a coach or mentor just helps bring it out. What's great that I can do as a coach that I can't do as a sponsor is I can go there with you, and I can not put up with your bullshit. I can hold you accountable for actions in your life outside of drinking and what you put in your body and what you say. But what are your actual goals and dreams now that you've found your baseline? So, Chris, all I would offer to you as a coach of what to do next is ask people what they want next, and what's important to them, and what's worked, and what would they like to try. And if anything was possible right now, what would it be? Because most of the time, everybody knows what they want to do, just none of us are giving ourselves permission to do it. Giving myself permission to let go of business and let go of the need to be a successful actor right now, because I can't in a pandemic. I audition for stuff all the time, or let go of the fact that my band can't play, hasn't been able to play in live for 6 months, or any of that stuff has allowed me to step in the power of, oh my God, I get to be of service as a coach right now. Wow, the universe provides all these gifts. We just sometimes, they come in packages covered in a little bit of mud, like a pandemic. And this is such a great time to stop and look at ourselves. And that can be really confronting. Yeah. But it's also an incredible time to create yourself newly. If you want to start treating yourself better and your body better, what a great time. And that there's so much help and support out there, not just me, but there's no right way to do this. But hey, if your expertise, Chris, is getting people from rock bottom to baseline, and you want to hand them off to someone whose expertise is baseline to skyline, send them my way. I'd be happy to help anyone in your world, and vice versa, because I've been a sponsor in AA, but I don't pretend to have all the answers. And that's not what I do in coaching. I would gladly send people to a place where there's resources and support like this. And that's why I wanted to do this today.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything you're saying is giving me goosebumps, man. I mean that literally. I do see often paralleled with this is definitely true about myself, is the addiction and the mental health is so tied together. When I'm working with somebody post recovery or in recovery, I should say, and I get scared of saying the wrong thing because of the mental health game is it's not I'm learning, but I know that go see your therapist. You got to see a therapist. These are the resources in your outpatient program, things like that.
Yeah, and I'll just say I don't see. I've dealt with mental illness. I have a lot of it, and close to my family, and I don't see people who have a active mental illness who don't have support of a psychiatrist or psychologist or some kind of doctor to handle a medical condition, because we are not doctors, and everyone needs a team. I have all of those things too, actually.
That's what I subscribe to completely, is sometimes call it your own personal board of directors, right? You have a team of people that are really a group of no people, right? Of people that will tell you, hold you accountable, will tell you, this is fucked up. Your behavior is not right. And on that team are people, whether it's, for instance, my pastor or therapist, and really my primary care physician. As much as my mother wants to be on that team, I try to keep her off it, but she always makes her way on it. And
Jeff Allen, is he on that team?
Jeff, I was actually just pouring a little bit out to Jeff before we started about some things that I'm struggling with. So I could put Jeff Allen on that board of directors. Ben, be careful, Ben. You're welcome, on it whether you like it or not.
All right. Hey, I love it. I'm on as many board of directors as possible. I want to make a difference in the world with as many people as possible.
Love it.
Let's go back a little bit to when you were using and drinking and you got that DUI. Was it a oh shit, I'm putting the bottle down? How did you transition?
I wish it had been that easy. I'm really hard headed. I was a tough learner, man. I'd been arrested 3 times. That was the 3rd time. Or no, that was the 2nd. Oh my gosh, have I been arrested 4 times? No, I think that was this. It was because there was a bench warrant for it. I didn't handle it in time.
Well, those don't count, right?
And then I got taken it. Well, if you have to spend the night in jail, I think it counts.
Absolutely. It's how we make excuses. Oh, that's not a big deal. That bench warrant.
Yeah, exactly. When I had a sponsor, I was like, he was like, dude, your higher power has been screaming at you for years. Like, how many more messages do you need? I was like, well, I just thought I'm unlucky. He was like, I think the universe has been trying to give you a sign for a while. It's pretty obvious. So, what was the question again?
Well, when did you decide that
enough
was enough?
Yeah, that was not it. It was like, even I'd caused my girlfriend, I broke so many hearts too, my girlfriend at the time. She was like waiting up for me that night, and we were already in an argument, and she didn't drink already, which was wild. I was dating people who didn't drink or who were daughters of alcoholics or who were alcoholics. It just felt like more bad luck. And it was, I knew I'd had a problem. She had actually offered to take me to an AA meeting, but it was amazing when it was enough. I even took a month off with her. But that was, I smoked a lot of pot. I had a lot of non-alcoholic beer. But that was pretty cool. And I got a lot better during that time, but it didn't last. So I think honestly what it took was a spiritual bottom, an emotional bottom. Like losing everything, it still wasn't, it had ruined a relationship. It had jobs. I couldn't even keep a bartending job where I was allowed to drink. So it was, I think it was just this overwhelming anxiety this feeling of, I can't live with this feeling inside anymore. Like I have a lot of resilience for pain, but this internal pain, I couldn't take it anymore. And I just kept asking the universe. I kept praying to God, my understanding, for help. And my mom was like, well, just ask the universe. I was like, why am I fucking asking the universe? Nothing's happening. And then it dawned on me that this friend of mine who I bartended with, we also smoked pot together, but she was in AA. And so I didn't learn later that, it's helpful not to do either. But she still was the one that got me in a meeting. And there's just so much love there. And it was still confusing because I didn't think I was an alcoholic, but I definitely had a lot of unmanageability and a lot of powerlessness. So I lived with that denial and never fully sank in. But I definitely know I have an addictive personality. And it's mostly like I have just had a really low self-esteem and learned a lot of codependency from my parents and not been able to, and already had too many emotions. A lot of people were like, oh, I stopped drinking and I got my emotions back. I already had too many, I felt like, to begin with, which is why I did all this stuff. But it's like, it's about healing now and emotionally growing and helping others do the same. And just feeling like inside I'd had enough. And then the signs just started pouring out everywhere. Like I got caught selling weed, and my dad's roommate had this 25-year sobriety coin he gave me, and just hands, I think there were signs all along the way. It was just I had to be willing to get help, and getting sober seemed really extreme to me too. I was like, whoa. Ever pot and alcohol? I don't know, guys. But my behavior was pretty extreme. But those are the people I rolled with. I knew people who were way worse than me. So it was just like inside, I couldn't live like it enough. But since getting into recovery, I've learned to love myself more than ever. I've learned to be of service more than ever. It's made me really humble and enjoy being of service more. And that has actually fed, my careers as an actor and musician, because the more it's not about me, the more I get to be of service in that way, like showing up. How can I serve this story? How can I heal people today through music? How can I provide a space of fun and dancing and laughter? And as a coach, it's how can I provide a space for trust and vulnerability and ultimate transparency and love, so that what's truly underneath that's waiting to come out can really be explored and grown and blossomed, stepping into our greatness. Because I believe, like the Marianne Williamson quote, it's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, our stories are almost identical, minus the being on Law and Order and getting busted in a kilt. Yeah, and a kilt only. And
did you smoke meth in L.A. and go up to the Hollywood side as well?
I did not. I have
almost got arrested there too.
And I appreciate that. Meth is one thing, thank God, that I never discovered. But I did have coke delivered to me at John Gotti's restaurant, and
nice.
Did some with in the basement. And I hope
that sounds familiar. Was that in New York? I think I knew those guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Right.
Forget about it.
The New York thing too. I have family in.
Maybe that's where I recognize you. Maybe it was in one of those basements. Was somewhere.
Right. Yeah, you might have been holding the mirror. Family grew up in Staten Island, and now I have my one cousin who went to NYU as well is in Brooklyn, and my two other cousins are three. Amanda's going to be pissed I said that, but all in Manhattan now. She went to FIT, I believe. But I've spent a lot of time in the Big Apple, and I still love it. Looking forward to the next time I can get out there to visit.
It's great recovery there. I mean, it's you can party 24 hours a day, but you can also get sober 24 hours a day there.
Right.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, the hardcore, the sober parties I've been to have been crazy. These people are like, are you sure they're not on drugs?
Right. That's funny.
Because they're all the like old rock stars,
Next time I'm in the city, you're gonna have to point me to. I'll have to check that out. I did
New Year's Eve, Halloween. Like the big ones. Those are like the serious sober parties.
Get some of those straight edge punk rock guys. They'll be pretty crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
When I before it was right after my father died, and that's when the bottom fell out. And I got as low as I could. I was in Manhattan. It's his sister that lives in Staten Island, and my cousin still. I appreciate it. It's still a stinger 8 years later, but him and I are still close. We bitch at each other almost on a daily basis, but I was at a club and I was connecting with it was I think this girl she had to be Jewish because she was making fun of she made fun of the New York City clubs that close at 6 a.m. because the ones in Jerusalem and Israel, they go till, I mean, they're rolling their balls off till the afternoon, I think, from the night before, an open club. So I was like, man, good thing I didn't grow up over there. I'd be dead by now with fucking bars that are staying up till,
oh my God, yeah,
lunchtime.
those in New York closed down, but they used to have those too.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, one thing you said earlier,
it was real cute. Let me tell you,
right. a lot of forgotten nights there, right?
I wish I could forget some of those nights.
Amen. You and me both. I know that feeling. One thing you said at the very beginning of the show was about creativity and how there's no, because I used to write just for, it's always been fun for me, and whether I shared it with people or not was a different story, but I would write fucked up, drinking, listening to music, and the thought of being able to do that sober, to me, was an impossibility. And I heard you touch on that at the beginning
Terrifying.
of the show. Isn't it?
Like it.
But it's bullshit, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I did stand up in like my first 4 months of recovery. That was
wow.
Terrifying.
Oh, man.
For the woman, and the woman who came was my wife. I apparently admired her. I had some balls. I was really like, "Big summer's amazing," but I was terrified. Yeah, it's pretty scary. It was never not scary though. Come to think of it, and actually, I got to play. I was in an off-Broadway show 2 years ago. I was the lead in a show called The Crusade of Connor Stevens, and you can actually stream it online. But it was actually a gay son of a Southern Baptist minister from Texas, and he was an alcoholic. And so I played a pretty intense alcoholic and in a very messed up family. It was a very dark play. But why am I telling this story? Bryan Cranston produced it, and we were talking about nerves. Yeah. And, getting to, and I actually lost two of my favorite people in my AA group at the time. Joey Boots, he was,
Howard
Stern. And
Baba
then,
Booey, Howard Stern's penis.
Yeah, Baba Booey. He was in recovery when he could be. Like, God bless him. He was the sweetest man.
Yeah.
And there's just a couple other people. Temi, this famous transgender woman who'd been a prisoner most of her life and a heroin addict. She was incredible. And then my best friend committed suicide, and that was all like before that play. And so it was just, I learned that I could get through anything sober and tell these stories and carry these people with me as like angels now. And I was still nervous, but I learned how to, again, turn my pain into my purpose and really use these experiences as gifts to guide me and to be of service, to tell stories from a place of service. Like you guys do this podcast from a place of service. I think that's so beautiful. And it hit a lot of people because of that. And so that's the cool thing that gets to happen is when you're actually I've done those plays, where I played alcoholics and I was drinking before them and they went well too, but I was definitely not in control like I was when I was sober. And then when I was sober, I could play, so many more range of emotions because I could choose any of them. I could choose how intoxicated I played or not. And my emotional range and specificity got so good. And that's what's helped me hold space as a coach for men who want help now. Because I really live my dreams now. And I have fears every single day, but I don't let them hold me back. And I have someone to hold me accountable so that I continue to take actions towards what I care about, which is what I think is really important. Like doing something creative, being of service. You don't have to be an artist, so to speak, to be creative. Even construction is a really creative job, but everybody has a creative mind where they can create their life. And so that's why I use that word creative, because we actually are way more control than we ever give ourselves acknowledgement for in life. You know, we have a lot of responsibility, which is what's so terrifying, because why would we want to take all of that? You know, it's way scarier to put yourself out there and go towards your goals and dreams because you have more to lose. So most of us are really comfortable at staying small and suffering and feeding our addictions and self-sabotage and being in pain and getting to complain, having something to complain about, you know, addicted to that too.
The first path you spoke of is it is scary, but it's so fucking worth it. And
it's amazing. Yeah,
you grow, you learn, you empower yourself through the failures more than you do the successes. I believe that wholeheartedly. You know, we learned one time we talked about church a little bit from a faith aspect. I really believe that God, you know, made us all creators. Like, we're all able to create. It doesn't have to be, like you said, artistically. It could be writing. It could be just being creating relationship with people. It's which is I think one of the most important things in life. And
creating a relationship with yourself. A lot of people themselves because they're trying so hard to get validation from other people, myself included. So that's a daily thing I work on.
Ben, I could bullshit with you for hours, for days, for weeks, man. There's so much we have in common that we haven't even touched on.
Thank you. And we barely gotten to speak to Jeff.
Listen, when we started this podcast, I was just supposed to produce it. And then Chris dragged me on and made me talk. So
now you have a guitar in the background. Speaking of creative, are you going to be playing for us?
Oh, no. No. I was recording a little bit earlier today.
Oh, nice.
I've been telling him that I want him to create like intro music and the ending music. Right now, we just use some artists from a site that we subscribe to, and it's pretty cool. You know, it's been the same stuff for the run of this podcast, and I love his voice, and when he starts strumming those strings, man. So get to work,
awesome.
Jeff.
Yeah, he got Jeff.
The first episode, I looked at him. I was just kind of telling my story and the purpose of this, of why. What's next was the title of episode 1. And
Ooh, that's what I ask people a lot.
I got asked it. I got asked it from one of my ball breaker board of directors, right?
There you go.
Because I was like, "Hey, I'm sober. He's like, "Yeah, what's next?" Right? And you've used that
good
one
for
quite
you.
a bit.
So are a lot of other people.
So
it's a big deal. But then what? Right? Like It's a bridge back to life. So the point is to live your life, not to just take it a bridge back to another bridge.
I like that. That's a good way to look at that, and you're so right. We were doing that episode, and I just looked at Jeff and started talking to him, and he's like, "Oh shit, what?" And he's answering these questions.
I didn't even have a microphone. I was hoping his was picking me up. So,
I go, "Jeff, what do you think? This is going to be the one." I can't do this solo. So Jeff doesn't struggle with alcoholism, but he's admitted that, and talks about his anxiety quite a bit. So he does struggle with anxiety.
And, just general mental health things. But pretty outspoken about that. Those are things that I found that especially. I actually work at the church that Chris was talking about that we go to. I do production here, and I've done music here for a while.
Oh, beautiful!
And
are you at the church now?
Yeah, I am.
That's why you have such a calm, serene aura around you.
Exactly. So when I was, part of my story is when I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, it felt like I just couldn't say anything because, you must not be relying on God to, ease those things in your life. And I'm like, well, guys.
How interesting that you made it about yourself or God.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And you're not alone, man. I went through that as well, and I totally understand. And that's the main thing I help a lot of people with: anxiety and depression. Everything from, young men in college to, I have a client in his 50s who lost his license as a doctor and was really depressed, but now he's starting his own telemedicine business, and that's like turning his life around, even through his depression. Just creating acts of kindness every day. And I have 4 generations of clinical depression in my family and suicide, and pretty much I'd say 90% of my closest friends are bipolar, and so I get it. Yeah. But I also had this great teacher in high school that he had ADD, and I remember when I told him I did, he was like, "That's awesome! I think everyone should take medicine to be like us. We're the most creative, amazing people." And I was like, I've heard that about like, people with these disorders and things. Like, it can be your greatest gift.
Yeah.
It's just learning to accept it. It's when we don't that it persists. Whatever you resist persists. And there's actually your body's trying to tell you something. Mm-hmm. And so I really help people connect to that and start to listen to those messages. And it's important. Our body's so much smarter than we know and account for.
So Ben, if somebody somebody wanted to reach out to you, where could they find you and your information about you and connecting and coaching and things like that?
Yeah, well, they could email me. My email address is curtisbenjamin@gmail.com. But also I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Those are great ways, and you can send me a direct message on either of those. I have a Ben Curtis business page, as well as my personal page. I think I'm maybe maxed out there, but just you can DM me anywhere. I'm available. I put my information on there, and my Instagram link. There's a link tree to my YouTube, my how to book a free call with me, if you're interested in learning more about how I could support you and fulfilling on your dreams, and also link to my music, Dirty May, my band. Super fun, like New Orleans bluesy folk rock.
That's awesome. Are you a guitar player?
I am. I play guitar, banjo, and harmonica.
Oh, that's awesome.
Blues harmonica. We're actually playing our first live show in Vermont this weekend since COVID. I'm really excited. Outdoors, safely, distanced.
Yeah.
We're all taking care of ourselves.
Kick the dust off, right? You got to get back out.
I can't wait to check that out. And that's one thing I had written down. I was wanting to ask you the name of the band. Say that again.
Dirty May, M-A-E.
Nice.
I think we all got a little Dirty May in us.
That is.
My wife is the lead singer, and we met in recovery, actually.
Oh, awesome.
And so you just never know what's going to happen along the way. Getting to tour the country and not drink is, I play in bars and breweries. It's pretty intense, but it's a great reminder of why I don't.
Yeah.
I never wake up the next day like, damn, I wish I had gotten shit-faced last night,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool, I get to drive and I get to play the music I want to play and
enjoy fucking life. I
get to enjoy the trees, without a pounding headache. And
Chris will still belly up to the bar occasionally at his old stomping grounds with a club soda and talk to the guys getting drunk there.
Nice.
I'm going to a happy hour when we get done. Actually,
you are. Good for you. I don't recommend it to newcomers, if you're able to, it's not for everybody. But listen, you got to know what your limits and your own personal boundaries are. I don't recommend. I didn't play music for a year because I couldn't be in bars. It took me a while to get back to that.
Yeah,
I had my 1-year sobriety party where I invited everybody that, just in case I owed them a drink for being an asshole, I invited them all at the local neighborhood tavern that I grew up in, and across the river from St. Louis in southern Illinois, 30 minutes from St. Louis, and that's where I'm actually the bar I'm headed. I worked there forever. I drank there when I
that's so like hardcore of you, yeah.
Going
to the tavern. Give me a club soda, Jimmy.
All day long. That's my cocktail, and I really think before the podcast. I've slowed down because I have
slowed down on the club sodas.
Yeah, well, no,
a little too much.
That's right.
Floating from the bubbles.
I was getting a little out of hand. I slowed down going out as much because I now married with a 6-year-old, and that kind of a game changer a little bit.
Yeah.
And I
can only imagine.
I bitch about it, but in all seriousness, I couldn't be more fucking grateful. And I go to. Before the podcast, this Pontiffs Anonymous started off as me writing and sharing my story, and being vulnerable with it so people could see some hope in life. And then I would go to a bar on Monday nights, that same bar, and just sit there and post up in case people were struggling, because I really feel a lot of people, you have to meet them where they're at. And I do feel it was a gift from God for me to be able to be around it once I got out of rehab, to
that
be
is
around
true
alcohol.
service. That's huge. I mean, that's what Bill and Bob used to do, right? Is go to the hospitals and go to the bars to find people who needed help, because you couldn't just like walk around and say, like, go to a meeting and be like, "Hi, I'm newcomer. You know,
right.
I'm Jim. Here's my number." You know, you sought them out. You went to the real deal where the help was really needed. That's really cool of you.
Well, I appreciate it.
I know how much everyone at the bar is like, "Sure, buddies.
Yeah.
As long as you're buying the next round, I'll go wherever you want."
I get chirped all day long from my buddies when we're at the bar, but they've been nothing but supportive, especially when I'm driving their asses home. You know what I mean?
Oh, hell yeah. That was a cool thing on tour, too. I'd get to say when we're leaving, be like, "All right, you want to stay? See ya."
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You know, and what was the other thing you were just talking about? It was, man, I had it. I lost it.
Well,
it was gold. It's gone.
Just so you know, May was my great grandmother's name. Grandma May. So
MAE.
Oh,
that's beautiful.
And I won't forget your band name.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And I didn't know her that well to know if she was dirty or not, but
was she a pond
who
off?
knows? She was
Dirty May is just about a sassy, like that kind of sassy wild side in all of us, and just embracing the dark as well as the light. And so we found a name that really encompassed our sound. Like May is this wholesome, beautiful, powerful woman, but she, the dirty side just gives her a little grit and sass. And we make her like I say her because she's really like gender neutral, but there's a little dirty May in all of us. And you hear all the different music because 3 of us write together. So there's a lot of different influences. But it's I think you just check it out. We're on all the platforms. And then I also have a YouTube channel that has my coaching videos, so you can learn more about me and the band, acting reel, all kinds of fun stuff. But, mostly if you're listening and you think you have a problem and you want help, there's, they always say, if you think you have a problem, you probably do. And welcome to the club, man. That's like, join the cool team of the people, the misfits.
I love your buddy with ADHD or whatever. ADD said, "Hey, that's awesome." That's all. I like
the wild side.
Well, I'll tell you, Ben. I had it written down that one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about in our time here that we have together is about the hope and miracles that you've personally witnessed. And you touched on that a little bit with seeing people that you've to find themselves, and as you're coaching, I know what it feels like to have somebody truly be helped through what you're doing. I mean, it's almost the new high, the new addiction, if you will, that I have is just being there, and when you really are able to serve someone for the better, it's hard to put words and articulate what that feels like. But besides calling it a fucking high, it is. So
Tony Robbins said, he's like, "I'm addicted to this. I got to every day. I have to help people. It's like I can't help it. I need more." He's like, he's open about it. It's a hunger.
The side effects of serving.
If there's a high you're gonna get, like, by all means, get high off helping others. Go for it, buddy.
It's the side effects. I've become just. I mean, I'm still kind of an asshole, but way less of one than I used to be. You become a better listener. You become a better empathizer, and that's not even what you set out to do. You just set out to help people, and then oh shit, there's all these positive traits that are growing inside me. So it's been
sure as you help others, you help yourself. So it's one of the best things you can do.
Well, I'm excited. Hopefully we can you guys get safe when the world gets back to I don't know if it'll ever go back to quote unquote normal, but I don't know if that going back to normal is a good thing anyway. But getting safer, and when you guys can start traveling again, and if you ever make your way through St. Louis, you know, I say it's subjectively. Family owns it's the best restaurant in St. Louis. I didn't mean to say that like that, but it's
yes, you did. Just own it. Come on, Chris.
It's called Olive and Oak, and it's actually one of our two head chefs. It was Mikey. He just married the head chef. They just got married.
Wow.
And he was the one on the show.
Oh, cool.
Sticking up for the foster kids. So that's
how neat.
Yeah.
You know, I've played a lot of there's a lot of great, I play like a drunk cab driver in a bar on that show. I just realized I just recently did the sober husband one where I got to interview with John Quinones, and that's really cool because I got to talk about my real life, but also one where I play this just like horrible alcoholic, and this Me Too guy is just gross. You know, there's a lot of fun characters on there, as well as the good, the bad, and the ugly. But you know, I really am here just to be honest and share my story so that maybe we could help someone out there. And if you know you need help, you don't ever have to do it alone. I'm here for you. I am not someone to sit around and listen to sob stories and victim stories. Like, I'm here to hold you up to your light and help you shine brighter and live your purpose. And we don't have to wait till things go back to anywhere. We can start living today, because all we have is today. Tomorrow's not promised. So thank you guys so much for doing a show like this that's so dedicated to hope and faith.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being here. I mean it. We're just, the honor's on. We're just so honored to have you, and we're going to share this on our podcast platforms. We share it on Facebook and YouTube, and thanks for being here, Ben. I can't put into words how much I appreciate it.
Awesome. It's my pleasure. Well, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Be careful what you wish for, because we could share some stories and go on and on, I bet.
Hey, I don't say anything I don't mean, so.
Well, we appreciate it, and we will be in touch. And I mean that. When you come through St. Louis, you got to hit us up. We'll go have a club soda together.
That sounds great. You too, Jeff. You're invited.
Yeah,
you and your
good.
guitar.
Well, you two can jam outside by the fire pit. I will. I'll sit back and take it all in.
That's right. There you go.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot, Ben. You have a great afternoon, and God bless you, man. We can't say it enough how much we appreciate you, and looking forward to sending some folks your way to get better.
Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, and I just forgot to mention my Instagram handle is Ben Curtis Official. That's also my Facebook page, because I had to make an official, you know how it goes.
You got to be Curtis 2020. Official.
Yeah. Or hashtag Ben Believes. You can find my messages out there, because I believe in you, whether you believe it or not.
There's no better way to end. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Jeff and Chris.
Sir.
All right, everyone.
And everyone listening.
We will end on that wonderful note and incredible words of wisdom we've gotten from Ben today. We could be more grateful. Thanks, everyone. Let us pray.
If you're struggling or know someone that is, please have them check out our podcast and reach out to Chris or me. We want to listen, and we're super eager to help. Pondoff's Anonymous is Chris Pondoff and produced by me, Jeff Allen. Our music is Anti-Hero by McCall and Gentle Waters by Wild Wonder. For more information, visit pondoffsanonymous.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.